I think if there's one thing that we, the audience, need to really appreciate when it comes to Deca-Dence is how it doesn't waste any of the viewers' times. What we've seen over episodes 2 and 3 is what most one-core original series will do towards the end of their story, where they would reveal the big shocking twist that half of these characters, or a majority of these characters, are actually robots that are controlling the system for humanity, and humanity is pretty much oblivious to how they're basically being treated as cattle, as these kind of cybernetic beings are basically playing a video game from their point of view. And with episode 3, it immediately touches upon our girl Natsume's chip, and why is she a bug? Why is it that she is identified as dead by the system? It clearly had something to do with episode 1, her kind of accident, how she had an operation. My theory was that someone took out her chip when she was basically being operated on. I thought that was the direction they're going to go, and I thought maybe episodes down the line they'd touch upon this. The episode kicks off by basically our boy buying a video and realizing what happened, that seemingly when she died and got revived, something malfunctioned in her chip which caused her to be identified still as dead by the system. Is there still potential for there be a twist with that? For sure. I'm not saying there couldn't be more than meets the eye here, but at the same time it feels like this is a show that isn't really about giving you these big questions that are going to last multiple episodes, but rather saying, hey, if something seems relevant and is like a really big question on your mind, we're going to touch upon it sooner rather than later, and that's an incredibly refreshing feeling. I wasn't expecting the Natsume content until maybe at best halfway through the story. Yet they kick off episode 3 and give us at least a temporary answer, if not the full answer, depending on if they go back and touch upon this again to say there's actually more than meets the eye. That is amazing to me and really makes it show that this is a story that isn't just about shocking reveals that, ooh, look, there's these cybernetic beings. It actually has a lot of structure and that there's a big story at play here. I actually really love the whole content with this little alien dog, which I thought that was just a cute gimmick. I thought maybe our boy was just someone who wanted some company. I mean, clearly, the fact that he's going against his orders and basically is kind of following a bug, I thought maybe he's just the type of guy that doesn't function as these other cybernetic beings. But seemingly, as he has a conversation with the man leading the assault on the creatures trying to destroy the Deca-Dence, is that this is a bug that more people than just himself are aware of, and that this could be very catastrophic should he get out there and realize what is happening. So that's quite interesting to me. It seems like there's a lot more than meets the eye, and clearly it wasn't just simply Natsume that caused our boy Kaburagi to basically go against the system. He clearly has been doing it for a little bit here. This is like the biggest thing he's ever done, because I'm imagining had he kept the little dog and got found out, he probably wouldn't be malfunctioned and, ripped apart and recycled, but clearly he would for Natsume, because that is literally, you're training a human soldier to defy the system because you're curious about what this bug could do. There's a lot going on here, and I actually really like how there's actually consequences for him not doing his job. It's not something that he's like, oh, I'm just gonna train this girl for like 15 days, half a month, and, get off scot-free. The boss comes in, he comes a knocking saying, hey, what the hell's going on? And I love how he tries to be sassy with it. It's like, hey, you haven't given me any orders. You literally are supposed to think for yourself here. You're supposed to find bugs. I will obviously give you the big missions if I know of them. Do your damn job and rid the world of bugs. It's very, very important. It really does feel like there's consequences for characters' actions, not even just like with physical damages for going out in the battlefield, but based on the system clearly controlling everything, you do not want to defy it, and if you do, you best believe you better not get caught, or you're kinda gonna be boned. I really like how this is a show that actually does answer things and explains things along the way. Obviously, for those wanting to know everything from literally last week, you're gonna be sadly disappointed. But there is a lot being revealed every episode here, and I hope they keep up the momentum, because it doesn't feel like they're speeding by and just doing things too fast. It feels like, honestly, look at this episode. A majority was a training episode just so she could use this maneuver gear to basically float around and kill a very low-ranking alien creature. But it also does speed past certain things that doesn't need to be a giant what-if, because simple things like, what is the deal with this system? Why are they monitoring humans? Why are they playing it like it's a game? And we get things from their point of view, and we get it from the human side. The human side's education is very doctored. It really, really is. And at least from my point of view, seemingly the whole kind of robot side in terms of the message that gets played to all the people inside their world, or their little computer system, whatever you want to call it, is seemingly humans kind of messed up and we had to pick up the pace, so now we control all their decisions for them, and they're kind of oblivious. That's kind of what I got from that message. Is that the full truth? Maybe not, but at the same time, if we're going the route of everything being very logical driven, which machines kind of are. That's why, there's always a big like, oh man, if computers get too good, they'll logically look at humanity as a plague and erase us for the Earth's kind of survival. Stuff like that is very possible if you have something as supernatural and, futuristic as this. So it's really nice how it does feel like it's very logic driven, and the stuff that isn't, it feels almost like it's a glitch. If anything, Kabarugi looks like the biggest bug in the system based on how he's operating and going against the system in such a very real and raw way that feels almost human. What I really like too is how our girl is really trying to be a very powerful soldier. And I think there's only like 200 like humans in this entire organization that fight on the front lines, with the rest clearly being these AI robots. And it's interesting how basically every time she gets closer to training or getting to her dream, people around her are very disappointed and scared for her. And I actually really like that, because it doesn't feel like it's a friend not supporting another's friend's dreams and ambitions. It's a friend being disappointed that a friend is going to try to kill themselves, because it looks like a fool's errand. Every time someone goes out, they end up dead. Why would you want to be a part of that? We don't need to. The fighters are there. You are not capable of being that. There's other people who are. But then you also have the most powerful female human soldier who kicks ass and takes names, so it's understandable why some people would be inspired to say like they could be that. But it does remind me of situations like an Attack on Titan where the Survey Corps goes out and people are like, why would you do this? This is just a suicide mission. This is pointless. The walls protect us, right? It's really nice how they're taking their own spin on that kind of situation and really making it feel grounded, and you understand why this negativity is happening, because honestly it seems the most logical. Yes, for us watching, we're the anime watchers, we know we need our main character to start being a badass, but from a realistic point of view, it looks pointless and just completely childish. Why would you do this? I actually really like Natsume's training. I actually thought it was going to speed by a lot faster than it did, seen by how much information they've been revealing so quickly. But the fact that they took the time to explain the very mundane elements, like how, hey, you want to attack them first, it will deploy their shield. It's basically like this gravity field, and you'll be able to see these lines and the oxygen that you're going to need to refill your own tank. If you get close to them, you'll be able to refill. You got to take your time. You got to be careful with this. They take honestly, more time than probably some people are going to like with it, because it wasn't the flashiest of fighting training sequences. But I loved it because it actually felt like she was struggling. It's not just she's the main character, she's going to be the best soldier humanity's ever seen. She might be very powerful towards the end of the show, and she clearly has a knack for basically, being able to do it because she's stubborn and she wants to be something that everyone says she can't be, which fuels her desire to be stronger than anyone that is naturally skilled for this position. And I really like how she gets motion sickness and how they explained it almost like, it seems to me like it's a mixture of kind of having to glide yourself on a kite and also swim against the current. Because seemingly, if you're floating in this bubble, it probably does feel like water is kind of pushing back against you, but then you also have to feel the currents and be able to fly like you're on a kite. So it's really nice seeing a realistic kind of explanation on this very supernatural phenomenon, as if she has to be able to go against the current and also understand how to control the wind for her flight. And it was really nice to see how she does get motion sickness and how she was getting progressively better, but was clearly held down by her hand. I actually wasn't really thinking much about her hand, because they kind of touched upon it, how that was her biggest reason of not being able to join the front lines that she wanted to. So I thought maybe technology wasn't good enough for basically replacing, human arms and things like that. It wasn't something I was really thinking too much about, but it wasn't something that I thought was oh, she can probably get better. So the fact that he made her such a cool-ass mechanical arm that literally can shoot the spears for her was so amazing. I understand the nostalgia of hey, I've had this for so long, but you clearly are going to get yourself killed if you have this robotic hand that is clearly outdated. So imagine what she can do now that she can actually do something. And I know I'm going back to Attack on Titan, but it does remind me of how Eren Yeager, when he was learning maneuver gear, he basically had faulty maneuver gear and basically was able to actually do pretty decent in comparison to what most people could do with faulty gear. And once he had proper gear, he kicked everyone's asses. It almost feels like Natsume is going to have a similar thing, where now that she has a proper arm, she's going to be even better than what we've seen, because now she's no longer hindered by this kind of crippling effect. Deca-Dence is clearly going for style points. It's taking a very interesting idea while relying on some elements from bigger series, and I have compared a lot to Attack on Titan, not necessarily because of the world, but some of the situations and how they're portraying the fight and how humanity is scared to really, do anything for themselves, and taking it in a very fascinating direction. And based on how well they've really detailed the world, there's simple moments where they're collecting water and you see the pipes that they use to collect it, or you see just the interior of their building. It feels very well thought out, as if everything that we see in this anime, whether it's a background image, a way a character looks or operates, there's reason and thought behind it, and it's not just a pretty cool scene because we're in this almost supernatural, futuristic world. but rather this is supposed to be viewed as a living and breathing environment that is literally being controlled by cybernetic beings, and that is fantastic. And I do want to quickly touch upon something because some people aren't a big fan of the cutesy art style, the almost chibi aesthetic of the supernatural kind of cybernetic beings, the computer operations. Personally, I love the aesthetic choice, but I do understand why some people could find it jarring because we're in this very gritty, realistic anime type scene and then we go very artificial with it. But I think that's why it works, because if you're saying computers are controlling this stuff, you have to have something that feels very different, as if it's coming from a computer, and it's very simple on a visual level, but very complex on a technical level. And that's why I think the aesthetic, it works really well, because it shows you how outerworldly they actually are in comparison to the humans that we follow, and that's why these creatures have these avatars that are all multicolored and multi-layered, because to them, they are literally operating robots, and these humans are just so laughable because they can't do anything for themselves, and we have to pick up the slack for them. I really like that shift, and I know it's jarring for episode 2 because you're not expecting it, but I hope more people are starting to really kind of picture and say, okay, I'm kind of understanding it now. Now that we're getting some more answers here, obviously we still have a lot to answer, it feels like we need that shift in style. And sure, there's multiple ways to shift the style and show that these are like computer-like beings, and these are humans, but I think the extreme and jarring shift, it honestly worked well for the shock factor, but also to keep us reminded so there's no confusion of what we're seeing at any possible moment, and how this really is a computer operation controlling humanity's fate at the end of the day, and I think it's quite fantastic. This show is definitely one of my favorites of the season, my favorite new show for sure. I'm loving it, I need more of it, and I can't wait for episode 4 next week. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like to show your support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you have been new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.